water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Only the brown boy Wonder, master of all four elements, could stop them. But when the podcasting world needed him the most, he vanished. 100 years passed, and my brother and I discovered the new brown boy Wonder, an airbender named Abrar. And although his airbending skills are great, he has a lot to learn before he's ready to save anyone. But I believe Abrar can save the podcasting world.
Welcome to the Brown Boy Wonder podcast. We're back with season 2 now of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I kind of didn't feel like want to continue this after watching The Last Airbender, but you know what? I heard good things about it later on throughout the seasons, so I'm like, let's do it. But let me bring my guest here. He's been here. It's Skyler. Skyler, how are you doing today?
You can't let M. Night Shyamalan ruin this show for you. We're here to push through to the good stuff.
I hope so. I mean, I was like, I could just tell you right now. I'm like, I was gonna call you. I'm like, I'm probably canceling it.
You were not gonna cancel it, you coward, you liar. All right, season 2.
Season 2. Yeah, we're now in season 2. First season was great, but in season 2 now, episode 1, the Avatar State.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it was a good episode. It was a good debut for season 2. I first want to point out the animation. I think it improved from season 1.
Yeah, maybe. I don't disagree with that. Think after season 1, I mean, typically the way things work, season 1's good. All right, you get a higher budget for season 2, right?
That makes sense. Yeah.
So it would make sense that this one looks better. I think it's a really strong start to the season, and knowing where this season goes later, it's an important episode because it explains the Avatar state, as the title would imply.
Yeah. The episode started with Princess Azula. She looks like she's playing with no games. For like her presence as like a princess, I feel like she's a queen here, but she's like taking over the Fire Nation.
If you'll pardon my language and my vernacular, she is what the kids would call a bitch that shits.
Oh, I never heard that before.
Well, that's because we're old and we don't know how things work. But that's what she is. She's here to, we always say Katara stands on business.
Yeah.
Azula is here to destroy the business. She's here to to F some shit up. So she's kind of scary.
Yeah, she's a match to deal with, but the gang, they reach to the Earth Kingdom outpost. And the Earth guys think Aang is ready to beat the Fire Nation, but Aang is like, no, he's not ready yet.
They were like, we heard you turned into a big fish, and we think a big fish is just what we need to fight the Fire Lord. So, what do you say you turn into a big fish again? And Aang's like, dude, I don't even know how I did that in the first place. And they're like, well, let's try. Let's try to make it happen. Let's try to get the Avatar state to come out.
Yeah, later on, he agrees on trying to become the Avatar state as a big ass fish.
Well, I don't think he's actually going to become the fish again. But he's the Avatar state is it's his Super Saiyan.
Right? Yeah, pretty much. It's like Super Saiyan 9 when he had like blue hair. I think that's where he is at.
For One Piece fans such as myself, it's the Gear 5.
Okay. Gear 5. Gear 5 in Super Saiyan 9 equals 14. But
that's true.
So nothing was nothing's working with Aang is trying to become the Avatar state. They're trying to do a lot of things to him. Momo became like almost human, with a human face or
Well,
human form.
that's quite a way to phrase it. Did Momo on Sokka's body scare you, Abrar?
A little bit, a little bit. I was like, oh, I didn't like that at all.
You had to pause it and go take a minute.
Yeah, I had to. I went to a corner and cried. But we back to the Fire Nation. Zula is taking over. Zuko and Iroh, I think they're all like, man, what's going on? What's going on? What's happening? There's one part where Zula calls Zuko Zuzu.
Did you like that?
I think it'll. I don't know. I don't think so. I thought so.
You didn't think you liked it?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Yeah. Azula shows up and she's like, you can come home. Dad says you can come home. He's sorry that he burned your face and kicked you out and called you a loser. And Iroh's like, I don't know if I'm buying this. And Zuko's like, really? I can come home. And Iroh is like, listen, Zuko, your dad's kind of an asshole, and I don't know if I believe anything Azula's saying about all this we get to go home stuff. And Zuko's reaction is, Uncle, why are you such a hater? Why are you hating? Dad said I could come home. Let's go.
You know, I was feeling a little sus with all that. Throughout the whole argument, they were just fighting the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the Earth Kingdom. I think Aang refused to become the Avatar state after all the trials. So
he said, listen, man, it ain't working. So I'm gonna go back to Plan A, which is just to go learn the elements.
They didn't like that.
No, the general was like, all right, well, you're saying there's nothing we can do to get the state to come out. And Aang's like, well, not unless you genuinely try to kill me. And the general said, bet. And they all attacked him. And it did not go well from there.
No. Well, first of all, I was like, man, why is he doing this? I understand. But actually, I did not understand why he was doing it.
I know why he's doing it.
Why?
Well, the real answer is because he wants to use it to defeat the Fire Lord. But right. My answer is because of who he's voiced by. Did you recognize his voice?
No, man. I'm really bad at recognizing voices these seasons.
I was sitting here watching the episode, and I heard this general start talking, and I was like, "That sounds familiar." The episode's going on, and I'm like, "Is that?" Well, out loud, I said, "Is that Johnny Gat?" And I was correct. It is Daniel Day Kim.
Oh, I didn't know he was in the show.
I had forgotten he was in the show. It seems something like, oh, it is Daniel Day Kim. Yeah, I think I remember, knowing this at one point or whatever. But I had forgotten, and I was like, oh, Daniel Day Kim's this general. That's really funny because he's also in the live action Netflix one.
But as a different person.
Plays the Fire Lord, actually.
Oh.
But
so he plays an Earth guy and a Fire guy.
Yeah, there's a meme to be made here about, Aang yelling at him like, I am the Avatar. I am the Avatar. That whole bit.
Yeah. I am Surgeon.
Yeah, so he starts trying to fight Aang, and he makes Aang think that he killed Katara for a second. He sinks her into the ground with earthbending.
Yeah.
That's when Aang sparks up and he goes sicko mode.
Dude,
and
he became the Hulk.
Yeah, he when he comes out of the Avatar state after his little vision, that place is tore up. And yeah, so he goes in the Avatar state, and then the spirit of Roku shows up, and he's like, "Come on, bro, you don't want to see what's about to happen. We're gonna go talk for a minute." And he's like, he basically tells him, he's like, "Listen, the Avatar state is the knowledge and power of all past avatars behind in the past come to you now, and It's when you're at your most powerful, but it's also when you're at your most vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because if you die while you're in the avatar state, it's over. No more avatars. The reincarnation cycle is broken forever.
Yeah.
And
That's huge.
that's a big mechanic to know.
Why why didn't Roku say that earlier?
He forgot.
I think that's kind of important to
he
know.
was he was busy. How many times we've talked to Roku twice now, right? Well, this would be the third time, I
Third
think.
time, yeah.
Talked to him. First thing he told him, he was like, "Hey, there's a comet." That was important. He was like, "Time, you're on a timetable. There's a comet. Go learn." So he had to get that out first, and then the next time, the North Pole was under attack, so he was like, go. So there's Fish and Co, the face stealer. Go talk to him." But now he's like, "All right, listen, bro. Why I have you this time? There's actually something very important you have to know about how being the Avatar works."
I mean, is there like a time limit of every time, like of him like talking to him? I mean, you gotta tell him that at least.
Maybe. I mean, it would take a lot of spiritual power for the Avatar to contact the spirit world, right? So
I
I don't
guess.
know. I ain't no Avatar. I'm not gonna pretend to know how it works.
Well, after that, they're like, all right, that's how Aang becomes the Avatar state is where he is the most vulnerable. I mean, his love his
Yeah,
life almost died.
that's right. Yeah, and that's made him lose it for a second. I mean,
Well,
if we look at all the past times he's become, gone into the Avatar state, there was like, well, originally when he did it the first time was when he froze himself 100 years ago, right?
yeah.
And then he did it again to escape Zuko's ship for a second. When he fell in the water, he made like that big water bending tornado thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then trying to remember some other times. I mean, obviously at the North Pole battle. Oh,
Yeah.
and when he found Monk Gyatso's skeleton,
Oh,
and
right.
he lost it there. Started doing Avatar state stuff. So yeah, it's all deeply tied to like his emotional state or like
Mhm.
his like sense of danger of the situation, or even in the finale of last season, like where he's at his most spiritual because he's there uh avenging a dead spirit, right? In
Yeah,
this like spiritual grove. So a lot of factors can trigger it, but if you piss him off, bad stuff's gonna happen.
I understand.
And
But
this dude pissed him off.
he did. I guess his tactic worked. So now
It
we know
did.
how.
It
Yeah. So
did
now.
work. He got the exact result he wanted. The General Fong.
Hmm.
He got exactly what he wanted, but he just didn't have a plan for the end result of how do we control this. And he was even stupid enough after Aang finally calmed down. He was like, "We did it! Yeah, let's do it again." And that's
Yeah.
when Sokka walked up behind him and like clocked him over the head and said,
Yeah.
"This dude's just not in charge anymore." And everyone's like, "All right, all right, all right."
uh. Well, that's good. That's good that we know. But let's get back into the Fire Nation. Later on, we find out that Princess Azula was trying to imprison his brother and uncle.
Man, let's talk about that guy, right? Because they show up. Iroh's like, "All right, let's go. You want to go? Let's. I'm support you, my nephew." And they get
Mhm.
on the ship, and Azula's like, "Oh, let's go. I'm glad you're here. Let's go back home, brother." And then that one guy's like, "All right, take the prisoners." Oops.
Terrible.
That dude is so fired. He beyond fired. She's gonna.
He's
He's
dead.
yeah. We're never gonna see that guy again. Uh,
um, yeah, and
then
then Ira was like, "Oh, the doink," and he's like,
yeah.
"All right, we gotta get out of here."
We
But they got into a
throw
fight.
down. We have a big battle on the ship. And we saw it briefly earlier in the same episode, but this is the episode where we learn that Azula can shoot fire like lightning,
Yes.
if like firebending, and she can shoot lightning, which is super super powerful. We're gonna get more information on lightning stuff later
Okay.
this season. But that's like, it's not like a thing that all firebenders can do. Like only like the most raw, powerful dudes can do. And the fact that we saw Iroh deflect it too, because he grabbed her
Yeah.
hand and then shot it away. Because she was going for the kill shot. Like she
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna put an end to my brother right here. And Iroh saved him there for a second, and which is cool because we're getting into this lightning stuff, like I said, this season. And thinking back to last season, the storm episode where we saw Iroh deflect lightning into the sky, it's all it's all starting to pay off now.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know. Like, is lightning and fire like related to each other?
Um, not literally. Like
Okay.
it's electricity, right? So, but I guess in the sense of like, because the Fire Nation's whole thing is power, right?
Mhm.
Like the fire is a powerful and almost uncontrollable force, and lightning is like, again, in a spiritual sense, kind of like the fire of the sky,
Yeah.
and lightning hits the ground and it creates fire, so it's kind of all connected in a loose sense, but it's the same kind of thing of like how waterbenders can control water, but
Right.
also some waterbenders can do healing.
Yeah. Okay. It's okay. I'll give it a pass. I guess because lightning is kind of a fire in a sense.
I told you she's the bitch that shits.
Hey, man, you
Yes.
you you say it. I don't know about that, but well, okay. So Aang, not Aang, Zuko and Iroh, they fleed, and
Mhm.
they're like, all right, it's time to get a little makeover. So they cut off
Ooh,
their ponytails.
you weren't ready for that.
No, I was like, no, that's part of their, heritage, all that stuff. But
It's Zuko's iconic look, and now it's
it's
starting
gone.
now. It's changing forever.
Yeah. I was surprised. Like season 2, I thought it would be like around season 3, maybe, if they're trying to pull off that look. But yeah, right off the bat, episode 1. And then now they're wanted by the Fire Nation
Yeah,
because of
powerful.
Zula.
Like they're like you said, they're leaving their heritage behind because they're being forced into hiding now. Because now they are just as hunted as the Avatar is.
Crazy, crazy
Yeah.
stuff here. I like it. I like it. And now it feels like a movie. I wish they put this in the movie.
Well, they didn't get this far.
Oh
Luckily,
yeah, that's true. That's
they
true.
would have done it wrong.
They're part of cut off something else.
I don't know what that means.
All right, let's get into the interesting fact here. The writing of Zuko's knife, where he bladed his ponytail, it translates to "never give up without a fight."
Mm, he's fighting for his life by running away. Fight for your right to party.
Oh, that tight end said that.
No, that was the Beastie Boys.
Oh, that's true. That's true. You're right. But all right, let's get into episode 2. The Cave of Two Lovers. Ooh.
Now, I don't know. I don't expect you to know this going in, Abrar, but this is probably one of the most famous episodes of the entire
Oh,
show.
I can see. I can see why. I can see why. Um, but let's start from the beginning here. The gang encountered Jung and the rest of the nomads, and man,
John, right?
John. Yeah,
No, wait,
that's his
no,
name.
was that or was that the baby in the next one? I don't remember. I don't know.
Well,
Someone's name is John. That might be the baby from the next episode.
okay, yeah, you're probably right. But this guy's name is Jung, the leader of his tribe here, the nomads,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they look a little. They look a little high, as they
They're
say.
they're
A little
hippies.
420.
Yeah, a little bit. Uh, man, this dude can shred. He's got some hits in his pocket. He's got some jams.
Hey man, you kind of need that when you're on the road.
That's right.
Um, but the next scene, I think it was Zuko. We finally see Zuko, and man, his new hairdo looks weird. I don't like it.
Oh, I'm not just saying it'll grow on you. I'm saying his hair will literally grow and it'll be good.
Okay. Well, Iroh, in the meantime, he got a pretty nasty rash with the plants he was dealing with.
Yeah, it's a really funny bit. I feel like they're at the same time that they're like cranking up like shit's starting to get realer and realer as we go along. They're also pumping in some very good comedy. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything's getting funnier, and like Iroh was busting me up in this episode. This whole bit like this either the most delicious tea ever made or it's a deadly poison and it's gonna kill me. And
Yeah,
he was willing to roll the dice and he failed. and
yeah.
then he had the berries and he was like, all right, these berries are either gonna cure the poison or they're gonna make me go blind.
uh, Not a good episode for Iroh in this one. But let's get back into the gang here. So they had to get into this cave to move on, or to get to the mission is to go to Omashu, and they had to go through this cave, I believe. The hippies, I'll just call them hippies.
Yeah.
They said all you need to get in this cave is trust and love.
Mm-hmm. It's in the song.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh they couldn't go around. They tried to go over the mountain, and the Fire Nation was shooting them down.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, "All right, let's just go through this cave. We'll figure it out." So they end up going in with these musical hippies, and they all get stuck. The Fire Nation like blasts the entrance, and they get sealed in there, and they become stuck and eventually separated.
Yeah, Scooby Doo time.
Yeah, Aang and Katara get separated. They go on their own little potentially romantic adventure, and then Sokka's worst fears, he gets stuck with the hippies.
Yeah, and they were attacked by they're called the wolf bats.
Yeah.
So it was like it's like a mixture of wolf and a bat, as you assume. Just like
Well,
the Grand Canyon cave with that big
oh, the
crawler.
canyon crawlers.
Yeah,
And yeah, so I feel like we've talked about how like 90% of the animals in Avatar are all like mixtures of other animals to create like
yeah.
fantasy creatures. To the point where if you see a normal animal, you're like, what the hell's that doing there?
I mean, a wolf bat doesn't sound right. I mean, it must have rabies.
I think there is an actual bat called a wolf bat, but then these ones
Oh,
are like they're like wolf bats. You know what I mean?
like a real wolf bat looks like. Is it like really big?
Uh,
Let me check here. A wolf bat.
yeah, they're just big bats. I don't know.
I can't Google search anymore. That's too scary. But yeah, to Aang and Katara, they, this I don't know about this relationship. Is this a thing?
Well, ever since he met her, he's had like a crush on her, right?
Right,
Like, I mean, he's 12, even though he's technically 112.
right,
But he's 12 years old, and she's like 14, maybe 15.
around there.
I don't know what the exact thing, but there's no more an age gap than like say Anakin Skywalker and Padme, right? It's about the same.
Yeah, it's around there.
So yeah, he's clearly like has a crush on her, and she's just like, oh, he's like a little brother. But then she's had moments where, like in the fortune telling episode,
Mm.
where like she's supposed to marry a powerful bender, and that's literally what Sokka calls Aang, and she's like, huh. Uh,
It's starting to connect. They encounter the love story of Umashu.
hmm
It's kind of like Romeo and Juliet. Both
yeah.
families are fighting. Um, I like that story.
It's a cool detail, the fact that they just give a brief history of the founding of this city that we've been to and are going to. It's just like, oh, we're getting We're getting lore. That's cool.
Yeah. Katara had the idea, like, the only way to get out of the cave is trust and love, and Katara's idea is to kiss Aang. Aang is like, what? Dude, he has no riz.
No, he's still just a little kid. Don't get mad at
No,
him.
no, 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 no. He has no riz. He
He
has
doesn't.
nothing.
12
He
year
doesn't
olds aren't
know.
supposed 12-year-olds aren't supposed to have Riz.
Man, he's 112. He needs to understand.
He's got time. Listen. No, he was fumbling the bag, as they say. And she was not having his awkwardness.
Yeah, she's like, okay, forget it. And he's like, no. And then it's all awkward. But then towards the end, they're like, it got dark, and
Their torches died, and they had no option left but to just die, or
boom. We didn't see it, right?
or did they?
Or
You never know.
maybe they didn't.
There's a chance they didn't, but maybe they. I don't know.
We don't know because it was dark.
It was dark, all right.
But 2 seconds later, they found a pathway to get out of the cave.
Yeah.
Sokka and the nomads also got out through their. They were singing the song, the love song.
So they were stuck, and then the wolf bats showed up again, but flew right past them. And Sokka's like, "Wait a minute, they're running from something." And then these big, giant badger moles show up.
Yeah, like anteaters, right?
They're called badger moles.
Okay.
So they tunnel their way out, and I don't remember if they said it in this episode or if they say it somewhere else later, but like the badger moles are considered like the first earthbenders, and they were actually like full on earthbending in this. They weren't just digging. Like one of them like clapped his hands and like a tunnel shut, which is really neat. But yeah, they showed up to do rough shit because honey badgers. I don't even remember what it is. What's the meme with honey badgers?
Something about like being, I don't know, like being annoying or something.
Honey badgers are the bitch that shits.
I didn't know that.
Okay. Well, yeah, so Sokka is like trying to get away, and he plucks the little, not the guitar, what was it, like a shamisen or something?
Something like that.
But he plucks a note, and the badger's like, kind of like that. And then Sokka's like, we gotta play music to get these things to not eat us. And then the hippies are like, oh, you got it, dude. And they pull out one of the best jams I've heard.
Are these songs in the soundtrack of Avatar?
I don't know. I doubt it.
I'm sure if there's a soundtrack for Avatar, I'm sure they have all the songs there. On CD.
That'd be good.
But they all got out.
Yeah, they essentially ride the badger moles out, which is funny because if you think about it, Aang and Katara like solved the labyrinth the way you're supposed to.
Yeah.
And Sokka and the hippies just like broke their way out. So it's like, there's two answers to this puzzle.
There is. But there was one. I think towards the end of the episode, there's one part where Momo was talking to Appa. You saw that?
Yeah.
What do they understand each other? Are they speaking the same language?
I don't know. They're friends.
Hmm.
Like a cat and a dog can be friends, but they're not talking to each other.
Oh, like cat dog.
That wasn't. They weren't friends. They were a monster.
that is a mutated animal. If cat dog was in Avatar, it would be a normal animal.
That's true. Yeah, you're probably right.
All right. But let's get back to the uncle and the nephew.
Mm-hmm.
They encountered or had dinner with some locals.
Yeah,
around there.
Friendly people showing them some charity because they were in a rough spot, and Iroh was kind of dying.
Yeah, with those rashes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had dinner. Iroh was healing up, and I think the girl of the did she had a name?
I'm sure she did, but I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember what it was, but she showed her burn mark from like the Fire Nation, like what they did to her. And
Yeah,
Zuko's like, he's starting to
it's
understand.
it's the first time like Zuko is seeing firsthand like the other side of what the Fire Nation's been doing. You know,
Yeah,
this country he's been trying to earn his way back into. Because up until now, he's been exiled, but he's been wearing the Fire Nation gear, and he's had the ship, and he's had the soldiers. And now that he's lost all that, he's like, disguised as an Earth Kingdom person. And this
Mhm.
girl's like, "Oh, you have a burn scar. Well, so do I. Look, this is what they did when they attacked." And I think she said that, like her dad was killed.
Something like that. Yeah, Zuko is finding a new perspective
Yeah.
outside of the Fire Nation, which is a good thing. Like the development there.
Yeah,
Uh,
and as an angsty teenager, like he's learning new perspectives and he doesn't like it because his reaction after being taken in and helped and fed and like having a heart to heart with this girl, he's like, "We're stealing her fucking bird, stealing
yeah,
it, leaving,
yeah.
ate it here."
Um,
He's struggling. He's struggling with his identity, and that's kind of like a lashing out moment, I think.
no,
But also, he is a refugee, and he did need to take it. So
yeah. I mean, he is running with um with thoughts, as they
yeah,
say.
he's running in more ways than one.
Oh, I like that. I like that. But yeah, they left the locals, and that's pretty much the end of the episode.
I don't remember what that bird thing is called. We see a bunch of them in the Earth Kingdom in this season. I would call it a chocobo because that's the big chicken thing from Final Fantasy.
Oh, damn! I wish I played Final Fantasy.
There's a lot of them.
There is. I did see the movie that came out like in 1999, 2000, around there.
The hell are you talking about? Final Fantasy movie?
Yeah, you know.
Was it animated?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that I believe.
No, no, not live action.
I think
Damn,
you said you saw the movie, and the first thing I pictured was like Dragon Ball Evolution. I was like, what are you
oh,
talking about?
no, 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 no. It was animated, but if they do make a live action, there's a lot of material to do off of that.
There certainly is, but they'll do seven. Final Fantasy VII is the popular one.
Hmm.
It's the one that just got remade.
Oh, on PlayStation,
Yeah,
I'll buy it. I'll buy it. But
yeah. All right.
let's let's get into episode 3 here. The return to
Well,
Omashu.
well, we skipped to the very end of the last episode. Is they're up at the top of the mountain, and Sokka's like, "All
Oh,
right, we're here. We've made it to. Oh my God,
yeah.
Omashu has fallen to the Fire Nation."
Yeah, that was a big. I forgot about that. That is a big cliffhanger to episode 3. That's why they're gonna go to Omashu,
Yep.
now captured by the Fire Nation. Um, this episode, I think this was my favorite out of the 5,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
especially towards the end. Well, first the gang gets into Umashu through the sewer.
Yeah, it was
Kind of
unfair
nasty.
because Aang's bending all the nonsense out of the way, and Katara's bending all the grossness away, and Sokka's just taking all the shit and piss water into his face. That's so
Not good at
unfortunate.
all. Um, we realized that the Earthbenders in Omashu are like trapped underneath the
They
land, or
they've started like a literal underground movement, a rebellion.
yeah,
Yeah, they're hiding from the Fire Nation who are up top, and they're trying to fight back the best they can.
kind of reminds me of Dark Knight Rises, where all the cops were trapped underneath.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny.
uh,
Um, yeah, so essentially, Omashu's been taken over. They have King Boomy hostage,
yeah,
and they've the Fire Nation has like established a governorship. Like they just put some Fire Nation governor in charge, and Aang's first thought is like, well, we gotta get Boomy out of there.
That's
We
his
need to,
dude.
that's my homie, and he's got to teach me earthbending.
Yeah. So he gotta use him and
Yeah.
abuse him.
Oh my.
Uh,
And then
well, we found out that the way he was a hostage is he surrendered quickly to the Fire
yeah,
Nation.
that's what they said. He was like, "All right, I give up."
You think that was part of his plan?
Well, maybe he'll say it later in this episode.
Yes. Sokka's plan is to recreate the Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah. So when they find all of the people hiding underneath the streets, he comes up with this idea to use the little octopus. They were called the purple pentapus.
Yeah.
Uh, to make markings all over everybody to appear sickly, and then try to shuffle out, and the Fire Nation will let them go because they're sick and contagious potentially. Now, good plan for this show, but like I'm in real life or something, like, man, they're lucky the Fire Nation didn't open fire, you know? To be
Yeah.
like, oh, the sick, and they just start mowing them down with flames.
I was surprised that they didn't.
They were just like, sick, and they didn't want to get sick, you know.
Yeah, I guess I didn't see any zombie movies back then.
I don't want to get sick,
No,
so
not COVID.
no,
Uh,
I let it go.
the the scene with the baby and Momo, that
Yeah.
scene was pretty funny.
Dude, that I made a note of saying, that's a durable ass baby. That baby was holding on. He's got the grip, gripping onto Momo's tail, and then like he thudded on the ground and like rolled away. And I'm like, damn, that baby is strong.
That baby is a fire baby.
Yeah, it's a fire baby. So, essentially, Momo's like messing around trying to steal some snacks. Oh, Momo. See, this is why. I thought you would be mad at Momo for this because he's causing trouble.
He
Uh,
is.
yeah. So Momo's just trying to get some snacks, and this baby like sees him and grabs his tail, and Momo like tries to run away, and Momo basically accidentally kidnaps this baby.
Yeah,
The
I don't blame I don't blame Momo. He was in the wrong place, wrong time,
yeah.
and the
Really,
baby
it's the
was just there.
baby.
Yeah, the baby it was
The
baby's it
baby's
was the baby's fault.
And it's the governor's baby. So upon finding that their baby is gone, they're like, "Oh, those damn rebels! We gotta burn them all." And then the rebels accidentally get this little fire baby, and then I think someone is like, "This is a fire baby. Let's kill it." Fucking smack it against the wall or something. And they're like, "No,
No.
no, it's a baby.
Yeah, come on,
What the
man.
hell's wrong with you?"
Um,
Yeah. The other side of this episode is what Azula's doing.
yeah.
Azula, she
What?
basically says like you know what, this royal procession thing isn't working for me. It's too slow. I need a small elite team.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna go recruit some people that I know. She kind of has like a Ocean's 11, but it's
Yeah.
Azula's 3.
Oh, I
So
like that.
she goes to this circus where she finds Ty Lee, who is
Yeah.
this like a cute, bubbly personality girl. Uh, and she really just gaslights her into
Yeah.
joining. She's like, "You want to join?" Ty Lee's like, "No, I'm not really feeling that. I really like the circus." She's like, "Okay." And then she like while she's performing, she goes to the ringmaster and is like, "You know what? You should do a lot of dangerous shit right now. just just make her think she's gonna die." And then she goes through that performance, and then
Yeah.
Tylee goes to Azula, and she's like, "You know, the universe sent me some very clear signs. I think I'm supposed to join you." And Azula's like, "Oh, that's sweet. Let's go."
These
Uh,
three are like the Powerpuff Girls.
yeah, like
You
Azula's
have
obviously Blossom, but evil.
yeah,
And then Tylee is Bubbles, and then
yeah.
what's her name? May.
May.
May is Buttercup.
So they're not sisters. They're just
Yeah,
I thought-
they're just friends, like childhood friends. We'll get
Gotcha.
more backstory on them a little bit later.
Gotcha. Was there an episode in Powerpuff Girls where there's like an evil three of them?
Well, there's the Rowdy Rough Boys, like the
Oh,
evil, gross boy versions.
yeah.
I
I
think
guess it's kind of the same.
if I remember correctly, they murder them.
Well, I don't know about that. I didn't see that episode. But they have to do an exchange with the baby and
Yeah,
Bumby. What's his name?
Boomy.
Boomy and the baby. They got to do an exchange here.
Yeah. So and Azula and Ty Lee have shown up now because the last of the Azula's three is going to be May, who is the governor's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, Aang shows up with the baby to be like, we're gonna trade the baby for Boomy, and Azula and her cronies are there, and she's like, you know what? No, this king's not worth a baby. And even May, who is the sister of the baby, she's like, yeah, fuck that baby. And then they try to throw down.
Yeah, they
Uh,
had an intense battle here. I liked it.
yeah, we get a taste of everyone's styles. Like we know what Azula does. She's, firebender, but she also has lightning. She's very powerful. But then May is like a knife specialist. She's throwing knives
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And Ty Lee has like this style of martial arts where she like hits your pressure points. She
Mhm.
like sneaks up behind Katara and she like hits her pressure points to block her chi so she can't bend anymore temporarily. That's
These
what that
are
is.
these are three strong girls here.
They are our villains of season 2.
Throughout the whole season.
They're gonna be a problem for a while.
Oh, okay. Um, the way this episode ends, I think Boomy was falling. Right, he was falling from.
Yeah, Aang essentially like tossed the baby off to someone else and then went to go save Boomy. And Boomy's like, Aang, what are you doing, you big bald idiot? He's like, I'm saving you, old idiot. And then because Boomy's like completely sealed in like this big metal like coffin basically
He
with his
looks.
just his with just his face sticking out.
Yeah, he still looks crazy.
I really like the part when they're like they lower him in and he's like, "Woo ha, I'm here. Hey, Aang,
Mhm.
is that you?" And then they're like, "You know what? We're not giving you the king." And then they lifted him back up. He's like, "Oh, there I go."
Yeah.
Uh,
uh,
yeah. So, Aang tries to escape with Boomy, and Azula gives chase. They're like sliding down like the mail system that we were sliding on for fun last time we were in this city.
yeah.
Uh, and they're trying to escape, and then eventually, like, Boomy does some earthbending,
Yes.
which throws Azula off, and then it gives Aang and Boomy a little time to talk, where Aang's like, you could earthbend this whole time? And Boomy even says, he's like, well, yeah, they didn't cover my face.
I think he was. I think he knew that Aang was gonna come after him. So
Yeah.
it was like a big lesson for Aang.
Yeah, it really was, because he's like, listen, you can either do stuff, or you can run away from stuff, or you could do what I'm doing, which is nothing.
Yeah.
But what he was saying is like, now isn't the time for me to escape. I have patience, and if you're gonna be a good earthbender, you need to have patience, and then find a teacher that can teach you that patience. And to be fair, Aang is like, well, that's why I came to you, idiot. but yeah. So
No, he's
Boomy
like,
will not be Aang's earthbending teacher because he is captured.
yeah. He literally said, "Go find someone else, not
Yeah,
me."
go away.
Um, at the end of the episode, when I forgot who delivered the baby to the Fire Nation. I
It
think
was Aang.
It was Aang. Okay. He delivered back to the to the family. They were happy, and that's how you ended the episode. There, I did like this episode a lot. It was
Yeah, it was good.
a lot of curves in here. There's an interesting fact I have. This is the only episode of the series where Azula appears without Zuko in the episode.
Oh, that is interesting.
So it was more of an Azula. It was more of the Azula episode here.
Yeah.
All right. Episode 4. Episode 4 here is the swamp.
Yes, sir.
This one, I feel like there was a filler episode. I think ish.
Maybe a little bit. Trying to think about because so they're flying over this swamp, and Aang starts to get like pulled into it. Like he's like, I feel like this swamp is telling me to land,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, oh, well, that definitely means we probably shouldn't land. But then, like a big tornado comes up and sucks them down, and they get pulled into the swamp and separated. And they all start to have different
Visions.
like visions, like upsetting visions, basically, because Tara sees her mother who was taken from her,
Yeah.
and Zuko sees his girlfriend who became the moon,
Yui.
and Aang, interestingly enough, sees like this little girl just running around. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he doesn't get an answer to that.
I think, my prediction is I'll make this prediction here.
You make crazy predictions, so let's see.
I think that girl
Mm-hmm.
was Princess Azula when she was a girl, and that Aang is supposed to be in love with her.
Wow. I'm not going to tell you if you're right or wrong,
Okay.
but I will say that's a crazy prediction. So that's our next. So our past predictions were, let's recap this really quick. Our past predictions were that the penguins from the South Pole were going to turn on Aang.
They will.
Okay. They haven't yet. And then
No.
you said the pirates would come back to help Aang.
Eventually.
And then they blew up Zuko. So
Yeah.
and now you're saying that the vision of the girl he's seeing is a young Azula, and that Aang is supposed to fall in love with her.
Yes.
All right. Do you have any basis for this, or why you're saying that, or?
I feel like Romeo and Juliet, right? Two different families, but the younglings, as they say, or youngsters, they always fall in love.
Mm-hmm.
And the enemy of my enemy is my friend, or my lover.
I have 2 words to say to you.
Oh, go on.
I'm flabbergasted.
Oh no, I'm flabbergasted. Man, that video was crazy.
Anyways, so while everyone's on their little vision quest here in the swamp, there's some swamp people.
Yeah.
They see Momo and they're like, I'm gonna eat that thing.
Yeah.
So they start chasing Momo and they actually catch him. And I was thinking while watching this, I was like, man, because all right, so spoilers. By the end of this episode, they're all friends, right?
Yeah.
If they had actually eaten Momo, they would not have been friends.
No, I don't think so.
It would have been an awkward situation.
If Momo was roasted, I don't think they'll be friends.
But yeah, so the swamp dudes, they're benders. They're water benders. They're just
the
water they bend is dirty. And they find when the gang reunites, they find this big swamp monster, and they're trying to fight it. And they cut away enough of it to be like, wait, that's not a swamp monster. There's a dude inside bending the water in the vines to make like a big swamp monster. So they pull all that away, and then they talk to him, and then it's your classic like it's actually kind of like Scooby-Doo, where he's like, oh, I made a big monster to scare people away to protect the swamp.
Literally, they took off his mask.
Yeah, so this is like a Scooby-Doo episode. So they
It did feel like an airy, not airy, like a mysterious Halloween episode of Avatar. I was feeling a lot of Halloween vibes here.
yeah, it's a bit spooky. Especially that bird that screams.
Yeah, I want to mention that, dude. I was wearing headphones. Man, you know how I like jump and like fell on my chair, fall on my chair.
Yeah,
That's what I did.
that's awesome. You got scared by the
Um,
bird.
yeah, I hate that bird. I'm not
It's
gonna wear
okay.
headphones anymore.
It's okay. That bird got smacked at the end
Yeah, I did.
because the swamp might actually be alive and haunted.
They said the swamp is all one, all together as
Yeah,
one.
it all comes from one tree. So it kind of is filler-ish, but I will say, seeing more about like Katara's like missing her mother and a reminder of like Sokka's lost people too, and then something's going on with this weird little girl, and then the characters we meet, maybe we'll see them again. It all has its purpose.
Okay, okay. Well, at the end of the episode, you see this masked figure trying to steal
Yeah,
from the locals.
actually, so like we get two things with Zuko in this whole episode, one at the beginning, one at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, at the beginning, it's Zuko and Iroh's like sitting on the side of the road, and Iroh's like panhandling. He's like, "Does anyone
Yeah,
have any change? We don't have any food," because Iroh is a sweet man, but he's not a proud man
right.
in a vain way. He'll ask for a handout. Zuko hates it, but he'll
Yeah.
ask for a handout because he needs help.
Um,
And this
Iroh has a lovely voice.
he does, yeah. He was singing and dancing. This dude showed up, and he decided to be a real asshole to these two struggling homeless people, basically.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, you want my money? You got to sing for it." And I was like, "Cool, I'll sing. I like to sing." And then he's like, "Well, you're not just gonna sing. You're gonna dance for it." He pulls out his swords. He starts like slicing at his feet and being a major ass.
Yeah.
And he
Big
says,
jerk.
"Nothing like watching a fat man dance for his dinner."
Yeah.
And then he walks away laughing. And Zuko did not like that. So later at the end of the episode, uh, dude's walking around being an asshole still, like at nighttime. And then someone's sneaking up on him, and he's like, "What? Who's there?" He gets jumped and knocked down to the ground, and it's the blue spirit.
It is.
And he takes the guy's swords.
I I don't want to predict. I mean, it could be Zuko. It could be not.
Uh, what are you talking? It's Zuko. All right. So I was actually going to point out something. I don't know if you noticed, but so the Blue Spirit has a very specific theme song. It's like little
Gotcha.
bells that go like ting 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 ting.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at that opening scene when they're sitting there on the ground, there's like a cart that goes by, and it has a bunch of masks on it, and one of them is the Blue Spirit mask, and the theme song
Oh,
plays as it goes by. It's ting ting ting. There it goes. So like that's foreshadowing. That's where he got the mask from, and then he took this
gotcha.
dude's swords to have his two swords back, and that's
I
how he's
was
gonna help
I was
his.
not I was not paying attention if
You
the
missed it.
mask was there. I guess I missed it.
Yeah.
I thought you always had the mask with them from
I
season
think
one.
I'm assuming he lost the first one when his ship exploded.
Oh yeah, probably.
Um, but yeah, he schooled that guy. May have killed him. I don't know. But
Zuko doesn't care.
yeah,
Uh,
no. I mean, that guy was an ass to his uncle, no less.
yeah. I wish Zuko took off the mask and there's like another mask.
Oh, like Sting
Yeah, I wish
or
he
Rey
did that.
Mysterio.
Oh yeah, Rey Mysterio did that. Yep.
Pretty
Or
good.
if he had like the Rey Mysterio mask.
That'd be good.
I think
Uh,
isn't it Rey Mysterio having a new show, animated show,
Rey
something like
Mysterio's
that.
getting a new animated show.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, let's Google this.
I think it's coming up.
Rey Mysterio animated series. There was one last year, apparently.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was talking about that one.
Rey Mysterio versus the Darkness.
Oh, maybe doesn't sound right.
Rey Mysterio definitely had an animated series. It says it's from last year.
Okay, maybe didn't pick up a season 2, but we did. Avatar did.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, it did.
But yeah, let's get into the final episode for this episode. It's episode 5, and it's called Avatar Day.
This is a good one.
This is a. Is this also a fan favorite?
Um, maybe I think anything that mentions Kyoshi or has Kyoshi in it will always be a fan favorite because
Sure,
everybody
yeah.
really likes her. Um, this one's got some solid bits in it,
Mm-hmm.
including. Well, first I want to say that the designs of the Rhino Rough Riders, whatever they're called, I think they look pretty cool. I like the guy with the helmet,
Yeah.
and there's some tough. They're tough dudes. They were kind of remind me of the Huns from Mulan.
Oh, yeah. I can see that. I can see that comparison.
Uh, but yeah, there's these Fire Nation kind of like mercenaries, or I wouldn't call them assassins, but tough dudes that are like riding around burning stuff, attacking people for the Fire Nation. And they find Aang and crew, tries to like capture him. They get away, but it's heartbreaking because um Katara is like, "Oh, the waterbending scrolls. I left them behind." She runs to go get them. And Aang is like, "Oh, I think it was his glider. My glider, I left it behind." He runs to go get it. And then Sokka's like, "Oh, I left my boomerang behind." They're like, "There's no time."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it will come back. It will come back.
So he even says, he's like, "Oh, so your shit's important, but mine's not." Katara's like, "Yeah, basically." It's
Damn,
like,
that's a
"Damn,
big sister to little brother, I guess.
he's the big brother."
Oh, that doesn't seem like that.
Oh,
This festival, Avatar Day,
yeah,
is just hate speech.
a little bit.
Yeah.
They find, after escaping the riders, they find this town that's advertising this big festival called Avatar Day, and they're like, "Well, we got to check that out." So they go into town, and they're having like a parade with like a big uh float, like made of like paper mache or something, of
Yeah.
Avatar Kyoshi, and then a big one of Roku, and then one of Aang because they know what he looks like now, I
Yeah.
guess, because he turned into a big fish in the North Pole. Everyone knows what Aang looks like, so they've got these big floats, and Aang's like, "This is kind of cool," and then this dude running like with the Olympic torch,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, what's this guy gonna do?" And he runs through the Kyoshi statue, and it lights it on fire, and they're like, "Yeah, boo, burn the Avatar, yeah." They're like, "Oh, we don't like this anymore."
It's not looking good. Eventually they got caught.
Well, yeah,
Um,
because they threw more fire, and they like threw a torch,
popped
and it
it.
hit the Aang statue in the
Yeah.
face. And Katara runs in because she has to stand on business. She
Hmm.
has to belittle this culture's traditions, even though it's kind of hate speech. We're
Yeah.
we're not the locals here; they are. So I don't know. She runs in, she puts out the fire. She's like, "Don't do that. The Avatar's a good guy." And Aang shows up, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm the Avatar." And they're like, "Oh, get out of here. We hate you."
Yeah. One of the Earthbenders showed his butt to Aang.
He did.
So, like I said, in season 1 there were at least 3 butts shown,
There's a lot of butts.
and now we have one in season 2. I'm expecting 4 more in this season.
More. That's a lot of butts.
A lot of episodes.
They're like, "You get out of here," and he's like, "I demand to know why you hate me." And they're like, "Kyoshi killed our leader way back in the day," and he's like, "Oh, sorry. And then essentially he's like, he agrees to stand trial,
Yeah.
right? He's like, I will stand trial for Kiyoshi so you can have justice, but I don't believe she would have actually done that, and we need to get to the bottom of it. So they arrest Aang and they put him in the stocks and they put him in jail. And then it's all up to Katara and Sokka to gather the evidence for this trial so that
Yeah.
Aang can not go to jail.
Yeah.
And
Katara and Sokka went to Kyoshi.
well, first Sokka got a hat.
Oh yeah. Oh no. He looked like Sherlock Holmes.
He was doing a Sherlock Holmes bit, but kind of in the style of this universe, where his hat looked more Eastern styled and he had a
Yeah.
little dragon pipe that blew bubbles.
I like
And he
that.
was going around looking for clues, and he was like, he found a footprint, and he found a statue that was cut from the same stone as like this temple that they said was built after the dude died. And he's like, okay. So they go back to Kyoshi Island, which is close by. We learn why later.
Mm-hmm.
They fly over to Kyoshi Island, and he's looking for more evidence, and he finds more evidence. But he's like, "Oh, is Suki here?" And the guy's like, "No." He's like, "Oh, all right." Oh, but
uh,
also, let's talk about the guy when they land. He's the guy from last season who learned Aang was the Avatar, and he like had a spasm. He like flipped out and he fainted. All right, he's back. He sees Appa land, and he goes crazy. He's foaming at the mouth. He passes out again.
yeah.
and,
Again with
and
that.
then and then Sokka and Katara get off, and they're like, "Sorry, Aang's not here." And the crowd like turns on him. They're like, "Oh, fuck this."
Yeah.
Like, whatever. And then that dude gets back up and he wipes like the drool off his mouth, and he in shame covers his head and he walks away.
I don't like that guy. He did that twice now.
He's excited.
Has
That's the kind of guy. That's the kind of guy that you hear, in like Comic-Con footage when they leak the trailers online. That's what the crowd is full of. Just
Gotcha.
people just screaming. They're not even paying attention to what's happening. They're just screaming.
No, that makes sense.
Uh, so yeah, so they're looking for evidence, and they've pieced together some evidence. They're like, "Oh, this statue was, or no, this tapestry or whatever was painted after, like, at sunset." But they said something happened at sun whatever. It doesn't end up mattering, because after they gather their evidence, they go back and they're like, "We have our evidence. We're ready for the trial." And the guy's like, "Oh, that's not how it works." Like,
yeah.
"Oh, how does it work?" He's like, "Well, I tell my story, and the Avatar tells his story, and I decide who was right."
Terrible. Horrible. Horrible justice system. Horrible. Literally
It's a
the
bit,
worst thing.
it's a bit flawed. Um, but
Uh,
while all this is happening, Aang is in the jail with some big tough skinhead dudes. And at first he's like, "Oh no, these guys are scary," but then it cuts to him talking to them about how he has a crush on Katara, but she
yeah.
doesn't feel the same way. He doesn't think, but they're just kind of like talking him through it, like, "Man, you got to be honest with your feelings." And that
Yeah.
big guy, he like shed a little tear.
Yeah.
Kind of love those guys.
The
Uh,
cellmates giving love advice.
yeah, I
Love
want
it.
to know. I want to know what they did to get put in there.
Uh, well, their
Did they?
defense makes
Well, yeah,
nothing.
that's a good point. There's a chance they did nothing.
Yeah.
The justice system is just broken.
They're just like, I don't like this guy. Go to
Yeah,
jail.
yeah, the guy put him in jail. That's a very good point, bro. I didn't even think about that.
Terrible. Terrible. But Aang, his defense when they're putting him on trial,
Oh, that's
just
so funny.
it was very funny. I liked it. I loved it.
Because the guy is like, we think she did it, and that's all that matters. And everyone's like, "Yeah, kill him." And then Aang's like, "All right, I'll give my defense now." And then immediately the Avatar state takes over, and it's Kyoshi herself standing there, and she just says, "Yeah, I did it." And everyone's like, "Oh God." But she gives the full backstory of why she did it. She was like,
Yeah.
the dude was like an evil tyrant, and we weren't having it. So I used all my super powerful bending, which was really cool, to split off an island and push it out to sea, and that is now what Kyoshi Island is. I'm like, that's cool. And then he just happened to fall off the cliff while she was doing that because he was an idiot. But it still translated to, yes, I killed him.
Yeah.
um, so the guy's like, guilty, pull out the wheel of punishment.
It landed on boiling hot water.
Boiled in hot oil.
Yeah, oil.
Yeah. There were a bunch of ones on there. I really liked Tortured by Bears. I want to know what that would look like.
No.
Of course, there was one that just said community service. Did not land on that.
I like that one.
But as soon as they're like, all right, we're going to boil them in oil, then from earlier, the Rhino Riders show up again. And they say, we're here to claim this town in the name of the Fire Nation. Who's the leader of this village so we can fucking murder him? And the village immediately is like, oh, it's that guy. Get him. And the guy also I want to point out the voice actor for that guy.
Who is it?
I'm blanking on his name, but he's in everything. He was in Mulan. He was in Everything Everywhere All at Once. James Hong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, legend. One of those legends that's in like tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff.
He's so old now.
Hundreds of movies. He is, but he's still going.
Yeah. If you guys have not seen Everywhere All at Once, I forgot the whole name.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, that movie, you gotta watch that. I think it's on Amazon. You gotta watch that.
And if you haven't seen Kung Fu Panda, he's also in those.
He's the master, right?
No, he's Poe's dad. His adopted dad.
Oh.
He's the little goose that runs the noodle shop.
Oh, Goose. Yeah.
The master is Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman.
That's that movie. Those movies have a big voice cast.
Yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, Angelina Jolie was in the first one.
Angelina Jolie's in there. Lucy Liu. Seth Rogen is in there. Oh, there it was. But anyways, he's the voice of this guy.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Didn't mention that. But he says like, "Oh, Avatar, save us!" And Aang's like, "Man, I don't know. Supposed to be boiling in oil right about now." And then he runs over to the wheel and he changes it to say community service. He's like, "No, community service. Just stop these guys." So then Team Avatar goes to work, taking out the Rough Riders.
This village reminds me of like, I mean, which one's who's worse, this village or the fortune teller village?
This village is probably worse. Because a corrupt justice system could actually hurt people. I mean, granted, Aunt Wu, that was her name, right?
Yeah.
Aunt Wu almost got the village like destroyed by a volcano because she said you don't got to do anything. It's fine. But I don't know. This guy's locking people up.
Yeah, one is a corrupted government, and the other one is just
silly.
Yeah, they're silly. But yeah, that's the ending of Aang's arc here, but
they fight the rhinos.
Right.
And most importantly, upon taking out some of the dudes, I think they low key kind of blow some guy up, like the archer.
Yeah, a little bit.
Up a little bit, and then one of their bags like it's thrown off to the side, and then Sokka's boomerang slides out because it always comes back.
Yes, sir. But not Boomerang from DC. He didn't came back from that movie.
Oh, not yet.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think he gone. He exploded.
Know.
Oh, that's true.
You never know.
That's true. But let's get into the. It's not much of Iroh and Zuko because pretty much in this episode, Iroh was telling him, "Yeah, man, it's not a good thing to steal But Zuko's like, this is what I gotta do. So eventually he leaves his uncle.
Yeah,
It's a heavy scene.
it's time for us to split ways for a little bit. Which not to spoil exactly what's coming, but in our next episode that we're going to be talking about stuff. Episode 7 of this season is titled Zuko Alone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we're in for Zuko's going through an arc this season.
Oh, I can see that, man. But okay, yeah, that's. I do have an interesting fact here for this
Yes.
episode. This is the only episode in Avatar: The Last Airbender in which fire is produced and spread for destructive purposes by someone other than a firebender.
I guess because some of the writers weren't firebenders. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
yeah, they use fire instead of the. Usually, the firebender uses fire, but someone else is using fire.
Interesting. That's why they're called interesting facts, because they're interesting.
They're interesting, man. But all right, that's it for this episode. We hopefully next week or sometime we'll cover the later episodes, 6 through 10, and so forth. But other than that, Skylar, where can they find you, man?
They could find me in an Earth Kingdom jail due to a corrupt justice system.
Terrible, terrible. That guy needs to go to jail. He needs to go to that jail.
Maybe he will.
Is that a spoiler?
We never see him again.
Okay, okay. Well, you can see this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. I do have a new website that was just published.
Yeah.
I don't know what will it do. Usually, it just uploads all the new episodes. If you want to check out there, that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I just made a website for no reason, just to have a website. And of course, I have an Instagram page called the Brahman Wonder Podcast. And a lot of things are happening. Hopefully, this series will keep cooking, and we'll be eating it.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah, that's what Russell Wilson will say. If I will edit this part, it's spicy.
Spicy.
All right. Till then, adios, senorita.
Yep.
Or let me just end it like, uh,
Adios, the bitch that shits.
yeah.